Hey guys, so the title of this video is bound to trigger a few people, right? Because it seems controversial on the surface to a lot of people who are used to approaching the SCA like a game, right? But just bear with me before you get your medieval bloomers in a bunch. Just hear me out for a minute. So, this concept is one that was taught to me a long time ago, just before I won Crown a long time ago down here in Southern California. But it was taught to me by some old school fighters and basically the lineage of some many multi-crown winners up there in the West Kingdom when I went up there to train for a little bit, is the idea that the SCA is a submission sport. Now, like I said, that'll trigger some people, right? Because in submission sports, they get this idea that it's just going to be this violent slugfest where somebody's going to get knocked out or lose their teeth or whatever. That is not necessarily just the meaning of a submission sport, right? But the SCA is a submission sport. It's up to your opponent to decide when a shot is good, right? It's up to your opponent to decide if they've been beaten, if they've been struck with sufficient force, right? Can we agree on that? It's up to your opponent to decide when they've lost, when to yield the fight, when to tap and submit to you. They submit the fight. It doesn't mean you've got to knock people out, right? It does happen sometimes, but it's a mentality change, and it's a healthy mentality change for not only your sake as the fighter, but your opponent's sake as well. Is you have a tendency to give them much more benefit of the doubt and not blame them for a lot of your shortcomings. So if you treat the SCA like it's a submission sport, and your job is to strike your opponent as often and as hard as they require to tap, to yield the fight to you. And that's really what it is. I mean, you've been in fights and you've hit people a bunch of times and had them take nothing, right? That means that they did not tap for you. They did not submit. And maybe they were being a little thick, but maybe they just require a stouter hit. You doubting them is, once again, doubting them, right? You got to leave it up to that other guy. That way you don't get wrapped up in like trying to blame them for everything. If you treat the SCA like a submission sport, I approach Bob here, Mr. Pell, and go, okay, I hit him with that leg shot. Okay, not good. Sure was clean. But Bob, I got to think to myself, Bob requires a harder hit than that. He wants that. He's asking me for a better hit than that. So I'll give it to him. And if he requires several hits before he decides, okay, yeah, you got me, he submitted the fight to me. He submitted to me. He tapped. And that's always up to your opponent. That's not up to you. You should stop like just tapping somebody and stopping and assuming that they're going to die. Just let them hit you in the head because they're not going to take it. Just throw that stuff all out of your mind and realize it's your job to be in the fight, to strike your opponent as many times and as hard as they want you to, for them to acknowledge you won and to yield the fight to you. And the last part is, don't be a dick about it, right? Might be so hard for some of us. But in any case, I mean, that's the mantra of it. SCA is a submission sport. If you go into it thinking that, that guy didn't take my shots, he cheated, blah, 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 then you're giving this guy the power over you as to whether or not he wins the fight. If you just think of it like a submission sport, that everybody has a different submitting point and it's up to them to choose their submission point, you can stay in the fight. You won't sit there and whine in the back of your head that guy didn't take that perfectly clean head snap, or this guy who just doesn't want you to beat him because his ego armor has added so much extra armor class to him. You don't care anymore. You're just like, okay, dude, I'll just stay in the fight, not let you hit me, and then I'll just hit you again. And I'll hit you again and again. And I'll hit you a little harder and hit you a little harder. Whatever it takes to convince this guy to tap. And it doesn't have to be malicious. You'll find that once you start actually treating SCA like a submission sport instead of just a stick-tag game where everybody's cheating, if you start treating it like a submission sport where it's all up to him to decide when he's been beaten, and you stop worrying about whether or not they're taking or not. You stop worrying about whether or not they're cheating or not. The ego goes out of it, right? All you do is focus on you. And you're all like, okay, cool. I just got to go further. I just got to keep going. You know, whether or not it's one shot or it's like 50 shots over the course of half an hour. Eventually, your opponent will yield the fight to you. You just have to find their threshold, right? And keep yourself clean. Be honest with yourself. So hopefully that explains it a little bit, the entire philosophy of SCA being a submission sport, because it is. It's always up to your opponent to decide when to submit. It's terrible, very terrible for our game in general, for the spectators, for the marshals, for everybody else to decide whether a shot is good or not, except for like the fighters themselves and the fighter being struck. How many times have you sat there in a tournament and watched it devolve into death by negotiation? That takes everybody out of the game, takes all of the quote unquote honor out of the sport. Just let your opponent decide when they're going to tap. Don't get wrapped up into it. Don't expect their submission point to be the same as yours. Just stay on your game. Don't get angry with your opponent. Just accept, okay, this guy is armored better than me. Okay, he has a higher calibration than me. That's fine. That's fine. I will just stay in the game long enough to land enough shots to convince him that, okay, I should probably tap to this guy. That's it. It really helps your game, really improves what you do, and actually makes it so that fighting is more enjoyable, and in many ways, physically and ego-wise, is less injurious. If you don't sit there thinking to yourself, oh, this guy's cheating on me, you'll enjoy the fight more. You'll fight better. You won't hesitate as much, and you won't question your opponent's honor as much. You'll just accept that, hey, I just got to keep going and just get him in a position to tap. So that's my little controversial little bit for the day, and I'll catch you on the next video.